Score 99999. What just happened? What? So we had these Game Boys, which I fixed up the battery damage in the previous video, and they were not working, both of them. This one kind of works, but it would reset after the Nintendo logo, and this one works, but didn't get a display. Now I've put some batteries in this, and I've put Tetris in it, and I just had a quick go before, and this did actually boot. Let's just give it a go. It's pretty faded, but there's Nintendo logo. Yeah, there you go, it's booting. So this one's unstable or something. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, there's Tetris. So this will work for a while, and then it failed. So it's been off for, well, it's just been left for a few days, and now it works again. So there's definitely something dodgy going on in here. So it works, but it doesn't work. This one, I'm not really sure about this one. There could be something wrong with that as well. That just doesn't display anything, but I can hear the game running. I also ordered these from Retro 6. I ordered a couple of replacement power boards. I had the funny feeling that the power boards were dead in these, but clearly it's not dead in this one because it's actually working. And it can't be totally dead in this one because it does work, but the screen doesn't come on. So I'm not exactly sure what the deal is, but these power boards are supposed to be better. And one of the power boards, I think it's the one in here, it's got a lot of battery damage on it. So it could be if this one starts going off. Well, I've got them now anyway, so maybe I should just put them in. These boards are apparently better because they have less dropouts. So it could be worth replacing this one anyway, just because of the severe amount of corrosion on it. And then seeing if this one becomes more stable. But I'll see if I can open this up and we can have a look at the power while it's running and see what it's like. And maybe I can get the oscilloscope hooked up as well. So I've got the yellow Game Boy open and I'm turning it on. I can't quite see the screen. So that's 6.2 volts. That's from the batteries. So we've got good batteries. I think that's the ground. Yep. And I think we've got... So that minus 19, that's the 19 volts. Minus 19 volts is for the LCD, I think. And this one should be the 5 volt rail. So I'm getting 4.9 volts. And that's coming from the 5 volt regulator. So despite all the horrendous damage to this, it does appear like it's producing the correct voltages, but there's a lot of corrosion on that board. So there's something unstable about this one. And I don't think it's the voltages, but maybe we should get the oscilloscope on it. So yeah, it's producing some good power, but why did it just stop working? That's the bit I don't understand. And it wouldn't really stop working. It would boot up, say, the Nintendo logo and then just turn off. So not completely dead, but unless it's going to fail again, I don't really know what to say. Yeah, so that's going. Let me boot the oscilloscope up. Yeah, it's totally working. I don't know why it's working now. I mean, I might replace the power board anyway because it was just covered in corrosion. You probably can't see that, but there is 240 millivolts peak to peak, it says. How has it fixed itself? I haven't got a clue. No, I'm not sure what's going on there. This one's just working now. But let's have a look at this other one. Now this is the one that kind of doesn't really work. It works, the game's running, but it's got no screen. This is the one that's got all the battery damage on the screen itself. So this one could just have a broken screen, but we can measure the voltages in this one as well. This one might have a damaged screen. Now if that's the case, I think I'd be tempted to take the screen out of the yellow one and put it in this, because this one didn't have any damage anywhere else really. So this one would be like perfectly intact if we did that. And I could replace the power board in this, and then this would be a really, like, very well working Game Boy with no actual battery damage inside it, but the screen in this one is just horrifically damaged. It could also be that the contrast pot in this one is gone. And that's a possibility, because that was severely corroded as well. And if the contrast pot goes, I assume just the screen won't work. Here we go. It's doing... Right, there's the bleep. And I think we're going to hear Tetris. Yeah, there we go. And the contrast does nothing. So these are the same batteries. So we got 6.2 volts from the batteries. We've got minus 19 for the LCD. So we're getting power to the LCD. Well, we're getting power from the board. And and 4.96 volts from the voltage regulator. Tell you what, while I'm here, Seeing as we've got them, let's take this screen. So this is the one with all the battery damage in it. Yeah, I'm wondering about that pot now. Let's take that and let's plug our yellow screen into it. Yeah, it's not easy to get this in. Oh, there we go. One side's going in. Right, I think that's in there. So we've just swapped the screen around. Let's see what we get. Okay, yep. So we have a working screen. So whatever our problem is, it's on this severely damaged board, which maybe is no surprise. Maybe. But we've got something wrong on here. We can probably check that it's getting power somehow. If I can find where the power rail is on here, we could have a look at that. Yeah, probably be on one of these caps or something somewhere. Just going to try and see if I can find our minus 19 volts on here somewhere. I've got a minus 8 there. That's odd. There's 5 volts on there. I'm just probing around to see what I can find. Why have I got minus 8? Minus 8.5. Shouldn't I have minus 19 up here somewhere? There's 5 volts again. So yeah, I'm not seeing this minus 19 anywhere. Let's see if I can find on the schematic. Just wondering, is that minus 8 thing, is that affected by the contrast pot? This. If I turn that. Nope. Nope. Yeah, I've got like a schematic for the LCD bulb, but it hasn't got any of the parts labelled. You just kind of got to find them. It's saying there's a 50 volt cap that's on the VCC line, which I think is this one. And that's right, that's 5 volts. 25 volt 10 microfarad, where's that? There it is. So this cap up here, it says the line is VR. I'm assuming that is the minus 19 rail, but why is it minus 8 by the time it gets to here? That doesn't seem like it's right. So does it get divided down or something? It just says VR. I think that's the 19 volt line. I might test it against the other one and see if that's correct for this. I wonder if I've got a problem on that. Yeah, so let me, I'll turn the cameras off for a while. I'm going to take a look at the working one and see if I can measure some voltages, and then I'll be able to compare it to this one and find out what the hell is going on. So I've been doing a little probing around and I have found the problem. I did suspect it was going to be this contrast pot, and it looks like it is. This is the working one that hasn't really got, this board has got a tiny bit of battery damage on it, but nothing severe. This one got severely destroyed, especially around this pot here. So it does actually say here, I was reading it out on the schematic before, it says VR, as in variable resistor, and that's what the incoming supply is. So the minus 19 volts is being stuck through this variable resistor, probably to create a resistor divider or something, to send the voltage down to the LCD. So when I was measuring the minus 8 volts on this one, it's because this thing is just stuck at something. So it's getting minus 18, but on this one, I can actually measure it and it'll go between like virtually nothing and minus 19 volts. So this one's working, and you can actually measure between the two pins the resistance here. It's quite tricky, you need 3 hands for this. Yeah, so it's like 9 kilo ohms there, and you know, if I change it a bit, it's a little bit different. Whoa, yeah, so it's changing there, and that change basically does change the voltage coming into the LCD. On this one, the broken one, the resistance on this is in the mega ohms range, 17 mega ohms. So I don't have a replacement pot for this, unfortunately. So it's something that's got to fit there. It does look slightly different to that one. So probably I'm going to take it out, and maybe I can bodge in some kind of resistor for now that'll just work and hopefully can get the screen on. Because I know this is somewhere in the 0 to 30 kilo ohm range. So I'll see if I can find out what a good contrast is and just put something in there for now. It's basically giving too much resistance, and there's not enough voltage getting through to the LCD. So that's a bit of a shame. So hopefully, yeah, I can bodge something in, and at least the screen will come on this one then. And that'll be a start. So let me take this board out. So yeah, I mean, I should have suspected that that was too far gone, but that's the way it is. There we go. Ah, we're super corroded. Let's just put some contact cleaner in there. Let's see if we can resurrect it. I don't think that's going to work. It's not changing. It's just stuck at 14 kilo ohms, which is better. It was in the mega ohm range before. No, that's mega ohms. Hang on. That's doing nothing. I mean, it's halfway in the right range now. I wonder if that's going to make the screen display at all. Let's have a go. Let's try not to blow this up. No, no display. Yeah, it's back to mega ohms. Oh, and then nothing. And it's a shame that's been completely destroyed by the battery. I've got serious doubts if I'll be able to get this off easily. It's not even melting. Wow, it's not even melting the solder. I don't think this is going to be easy to get off. It feels like I'm soldering it back on now. This solder does not want to melt. Ooh, it's horrible stuff. You know what? I'm going to snip this as soon as it's broken anyway. Whoop! I'm going to try and snip the legs on this. Oh, yeah. Right. Ooh, gunk. So that, oh, look at it under there. That's horrible. So that is one bad variable resistor. Not looking good. And there was a lot of gunk under there. So I've got to get those pins out somehow. So I've pulled that thing out and I've freed up all the holes. There it is. There's the culprit, or at least one of the culprits. It's all just freed up there, and I've cleaned it up a bit while the camera was off. I actually snapped this cable off my speaker that's been dangling around while I've been doing that. So I've got to resolder that cable back on now. But what I'm going to do, because I don't have a replacement for this, I'm just going to take a couple of resistors. I measured the resistance on the other one with some reasonable brightness in it. It was 15 kilo ohms. So I'm going to stick a 10 kilo ohm in there and kind of bend it over. I'm going to put a 5 kilo ohm in with it as well and kind of connect them together. Hopefully they'll fit. They're going to fit in there. Somewhere around here, just kind of get them to fit in there like that. And just take up the space the old one would have done. So I'll solder those in, boot it back up and see if we get anything on the screen. Even if the brightness is wrong, that'll be better for now. It's going to need a replacement pot really, so this is just like a temp fix to see if we can get it to work. Oh, completely lost the speaker now. Speaker has gone. Right, hopefully this is going to work. 16 kilo ohm, right. That's roughly what we want. It's not a variable resistor, but it's a resistor at the very least. Right, so that is a bit of a bodge, isn't it? But let's let's see how we get on with that. I don't know. It's only temporary anyway. We need to find a better solution for this. The screen brightness is probably going to be wrong. Oh, I do need to put my speaker back in, actually. These speaker wires are very thin. I think I might have soldered my speaker in the wrong way. Not that it won't work, just so that it won't actually fit in the case anymore. Let's have a look. Right, let's see if we get anything on the screen. There it is! Hey, I've actually not done too bad on the brightness. There it is, look at that. So I'll have to put this back together. Yeah, look at that. And so that's 15 kilo ohms, just fixed resistor, so you can't adjust the brightness anymore. But the screen's on. Right, that's pretty cool. So basically I've got this one's started up and so is the other, but the other one was unstable. And this one I don't know about because I've not really had a chance to play it yet. But it seems to be doing all right. So we just had a bad pot which has just been destroyed by the acid. But yeah, look at that, it's back to life. And I think, like I said, you can't adjust the brightness, but it's not too bad a job. I mean, is that even looking better than the other one? I'm not sure. Maybe it's just because I'm looking at it without the cover on the screen. Right, let me put all this stuff back together and then we can have a go on this one. We don't really know if the pad works on this one yet because I've not had a chance to use it. But it's back on. Okay, so the grey one is back together. It no longer has a brightness, a contrast pot because I have removed it. Hopefully there are replacements available for those. And let's see if it still works. So yeah, you're going to be reaching for that and it's not going to be there. I've not done too badly. I suppose if you're in bright light or something, you're not going to be able to see that. But it's on. So do the keys work on this? It looks like it's working. So I haven't used the power boards that I bought because we were getting power out, even though the one in the yellow Game Boy is absolutely, looks like it's been destroyed. I mean, I might replace that one just because it's had so much damage. But it's actually working, it's producing the right voltages. And so is this one apparently. This one didn't have as much damage on it though. Does the volume work? Oh, the volume's on full there. Here we go, it's a Tetris. Ooh, that is a strange noise when you get that. Well, extremely happy I've got 2 of these on now. I mean, the problem is I don't know why this other one is even working. I've got no clue. Well, let's call this one working for now. And let's go to the other one and we'll just give it a bit of a soak test. And we'll see. Oof, we'll see if it starts to fail again, because it just turned off before. But yeah, it's an odd one that this is just working now. I don't really get it. It definitely just went off on me. And then it wouldn't boot the game. Right, I'm going to turn off the cameras and leave it running. And come back after I've made some tea and stuff. And let's just see what it does. It just wants to keep working now after failing miserably. So as soon as I turn the camera off, I think this actually started failing. And here it is. So you get the Nintendo logo and it bleeps and then it just turns off. So I've been having a probe around off camera. It still looks like the voltages are good. I've probed for a clock signal. Looks like there's a good clock signal. And I'm probing what I think is the reset line. I've got a schematic, but it doesn't tell you which pin's which. So it's very hard to tell. The reset line looks like it's always low, but that doesn't even make any sense to me. I must be probing the wrong line, because if it was always low, then why would it even come on at all? So surely it needs the processor to do that. So it can't be that, unless that is the problem. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me though. And I can see that there's activity on the data lines when I probe on the cartridge port. So it's trying to do something, it's just nothing's happening. Either that or I can't see it and I can't hear it. I don't think that's the case. And I was looking at the voltages like on the LCD board and they still seem to be good. So it like works for a while and then it fails. So I'm still suspecting maybe it's these power boards that are a bit dodgy, I don't know. But I've got these new ones, so I've paid for them. I might as well slap one in and see what we get. Because short of that, I don't know what else I'm going to do at this point. I can see activity, I can see good clock, I can see good voltages. And if I leave this off for a while, it works. So it's possible it's capacitors, but there aren't really any capacitors on this like logic side. It looks like the only capacitors that are, well, not to do with the audio, are these two on the power board. So, you know, if they're dodgy, then that might cause the power board to fail, or sorry, the logic board to fail. So I'll start with this, but yeah, I don't exactly know what the problem is. I know there was a lot of battery damage on this, and there is a lot of battery gunk inside that transformer that's on there. So that's not good. But ultimately, it is producing the right voltage. I just can't guarantee it's producing a stable voltage. So that's what I'm going to try first. Using this Retro 6 board I paid for. It says red there, so I assume I can unwire this. Just wire that one back in. I've got to take the audio board out to do this, by the looks of things. So yeah, I'll have to fully disassemble this. Right, so there's my little power board that suffered some severe damage but still seems to work. And there we go, and it looks like this will replace like that, saying red. There we go. So it's just a like for like replacement. Well, a drop-in replacement, I should say, not like for like. Well, let's hope this fixes it, because I'm kind of out of ideas after that. But there's something odd with this Game Boy, that it'll work for a while and then it doesn't. Which kind of smells caps, doesn't it? But it's hard to tell. It won't be these ones on here. And oh, there are a few caps on here actually, on the other side. But I don't know, it could be those. It's hard to say. They don't look like they're damaged or anything. I could try and measure them in circuit. What about this little one here? It says 11 microfarads. Yeah, it's a 10 microfarad one, measured at 11. These are probably good. That one's like 3 microfarads. It's a Sanyo cap. It's 1 microfarad, it says, I think. That one says 5. This one here, 10. And this fat one down here, what's this going to be? This is like a low profile cap. 100, 110. And that is a 100, yeah. Well, they're measuring with correct capacitance, so less likely to suspect those. What about the ones on this power board? They don't look too bad. 200. That's a 100. That's odd. Maybe it's measuring the other one as well. And this one's measuring 34, and that's the same cap, is it? No, it's the 33. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm fresh out of ideas, I'm afraid. Oh, there's a little cap. Did I measure this cap in the corner down here? This is 100 microfarad. 200. It says it's 200. I don't know, it's measuring something though. I mean, it doesn't mean they're good if they're measuring that. These look all right. Well, let's replace the power board. Let's see if we win anything special. I don't know how I'm going to get this out. Like that, apparently. There we go. That is the crusty power board. It's got a lot of damage to it. I can't believe it's even working. That voltage regulator looks absolutely dead, but it works. At least it looked like it was working. Hey, there it is. Right, we're going to try the new one anyway. This is the Retro 6 one. Ooh, look at all these little fancy surface mount caps. Right, it says red. So we put the red in the red, and that's all we have to do. Somehow I've got to hold this on here, get some solder on it. I wonder if I can just tack that on somehow. There we go, it's just enough solder to hold it on, and then I'll solder it properly. Right, we have a new power board. And let's not mess up putting this thing back together. Ah, there we go, that's how it goes in. Doesn't help when you... Oh, no, I forgot to put the switch in. I always do this. I nearly scuppered myself with that. Well, that was very easy to install, but I suspect it's not fixed my problem. But in it goes. There we go, we're all back together. And the question is, will it boot? Will it boot Tetris? Because we know that works. Let's have a go. Well, it comes on. That's a start. Oh, it did boot. It did. Well, that's interesting. So, I mean, it's booted before with the old power supply. I just don't want to short this thing out. Yeah, so I wonder if this thing is dodgy, even though it's putting out the correct voltage. I mean, it really was crusty. That's one of the reasons I bought the power supply. But I mean, this is on now and it wasn't before. So maybe it just took too much of a hard time, or maybe it was never that great to start with in the first place. I mean, that thing down there looks like, good Lord. There's not, it just like, it's surprising it did anything. Let me screw the case back together and we'll give it another soak test. Right, we're back on. So I wonder if this is going to be stable enough now. It's very strange. I couldn't really detect that there was anything wrong with the power, even with the oscilloscope. It did have a lot of, like 240 millivolts peak to peak is a lot, but I don't know if the Game Boy is designed to handle that. But it's possible it had some spikes in there that I couldn't see. Enough to stop this thing from just booting up and then just forget to do it at all after that. But I wonder if this is going to be stable for more than like 2 games of Tetris now. Whoa, what was that? What just happened on the left there? Is that correct? Score 99999. What just happened? What? I don't know if this Game Boy's right. Is that a bug in the game, or is that like, has something just gone wrong with it? I mean, it's actually filled up the side with like real stuff. I wonder if I can even get rid of them. Let's see here. Oh yeah, you can. But they're not things that it's just put some random pieces in. That can't be a thing. And I've got 999.99 score. Great. Right, so I'll just turn the cameras off for a while, leave this running, and let's see if it works. So this yellow Game Boy is not a happy camper. It did crash again just after I turned the cameras off. So there's something wrong with it, and it's not the power board. Look, it's doing exactly the same thing it was before. And that's after replacing this power board. So it's not got power problems, it's got some other problems. So I think what I'm going to do at the moment is cut my losses. What I've got here is I've got a Game Boy that isn't working properly, but has a good screen in it. And I've got a Game Boy that's got a bad screen in it because it's got no contrast pot, but does appear to be working properly. Like, I think this one is all right. I mean, I have to have a bit more of a go with it. But other than the screen, basically, you can't adjust the contrast. But everything else seems to be working. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my losses. I'm going to do a screen transplant from this one to the other one. Then I've got one perfectly working Game Boy, and the other one has got some dodgy problem for which I don't know what it is. And obviously it's got this new power board, which is doing it no good at the moment. It's doing it nothing. It's just really odd how it, if I leave it a while, it'll probably just start turning on again. But it was definitely crashing while I was playing. I'm wondering if this cartridge port has got something wrong with it, because it had corrosion in the cartridge port. I wonder if it's not reading the cartridge properly or something. I'm not exactly sure. It's really difficult to get that in. So yeah, so I think it's time to do a screen transplant between these two. And then we've got one perfect Game Boy, apart from this, which I've cleaned up ready to have double-sided sticky tape on, but I've just not done it yet. So that can be stuck back on, and then this thing will be perfectly working. And the other one, well, that's just going to be one we have to fix up later. It needs a contrast pot, and it will need, it's going to have this logic problem sorted out. But something, the battery damage has definitely done something to it, but I don't know what. It's just odd that it crashes all the time. Right, screen transplant time. Okay, I have swapped screens in these two Game Boys. I've noticed that this one now, the yellow one now has the one that doesn't have a pot, and the screen has gone red down there. I don't know what that's all about. Oh, I don't know what that was. Something just popped, and now the red's gone. So I have no idea what that was. Maybe this case wasn't pushed together properly. So let's see what we get. We've got, oh, this thing still falls off. That needs so gluing on. I've just got some arcade classic 4-game pack in here. So this is now the one that's actually got the screens in it. I thought it had gone off now. So this one's actually got the good screen in it, and it's the good Game Boy, hopefully. And this is the one, and this has got Tetris in it. This is the one that's got the dodgy, just goes off all the time, but it's also missing a contrast port. See, it's on now, but it's just going to fail again later. So yeah, for some reason that one now works. But as you can see, it's kind of like, it looks all right. You can't adjust the contrast, but it's not too bad. So that's going to work for a while and then just probably crash or something. I've no idea where to go with that one. If anyone's got any ideas, let me know what I can check next. But yeah, something odd going on. And it's not power, because it's got a new power board in now. Well, we've got Defender on here. So I think this one's fully working now. Ooh, it's horrible with these two Game Boys going at the same time. So it's a partial success. I've got a complete Game Boy here, and I've got one that wants to work, but isn't exactly stable. So that's no good really. And this one hasn't even had this power supply replacement that I've got if I need it. So that's it for now. That is, well, at the moment, 2 working Game Boys, but like I said, this one dodgy. But when I started this, neither of these worked, so I think it's a good thing. And I think pretty much inside, this one's got virtually no battery damage now because I've swapped the screens. Let me turn these down. Making quite a lot of noise. Yeah, because I've swapped the screens, this one is basically intact. It really didn't have much damage on the board or on the power board, and the screen is now almost perfect because this one had an okay screen. So this one is in good shape. It just needs a bit of double-sided sticky to put the screen back on. And I think that one's good. And this one is just like, you know, seems like it works, and then it'll just fail. And yeah, there you go, look, it's crashed. It has crashed while it was on camera. So it's kind of running, yeah, and it's reset now. So that's now not going to boot. So I've no idea what the problem is with this one. If anyone's got any ideas where to start with that one. Oh, look, oh, look at this. It's like got a new failure mode now. It's just filling the screen with zeros. It might be dodgy cartridge port. It might just have dodgy RAM or something. If it does, this one's unfixable because it's got blobbed on. It's like not even got chips that you can fix. So, I don't know. Maybe it's not worth keeping this brand new power board in here. Maybe I could put this old one back in this at some point. I mean, it's not really made any difference to the problem. So maybe this one should have all the broken parts. But yeah, this one is looking good. So that's the end of the Game Boy video. So I've had a partial success. I've never really worked on a Game Boy before. So I'm very happy with what I've managed to achieve. I didn't think I was going to be able to get anywhere, but I've got this. So I'm going to give these back to their owner and say, look, you've got one that works and you've got one that doesn't. So enjoy.